Hi, good
Got it.
afternoon. It's Valerie Milano. I'm the senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and I'm so happy to have Bridget here. I'm going to let her introduce herself, please.
Oh, hey, my name is Bridget Murnane, and I am the producer director of Bella, a new feature documentary about choreographer, dancer, arts activist Bella Lewitzky.
Yes, and a very artful film about this artistic dancer, Bella Lewitzky's influence on modern interpretive dance cannot be overstated, and her blacklisting in the 50s and later, her stand against censorship in the 90s was bold and some might say was an influential. It was, it was as influential as her dance, her dance ability on her contribution to the art of the dance. This is a terrific film about an amazing individual, who put her art and her beliefs ahead of ahead of everything else in her life. And a truly amazing film, a truly amazing artist. Bella Lewitzky's life is inspiring. So it's no wonder you found the inspiration to make this film. But how did you discover Bella? And what set in motion the events of making the film?
Well, I was a professional modern dancer, and I met Bella through my teacher, Susan Rose, in Boston. That's where I'm from. Susan had studied with her at Cal Arts. And in 1978, Bella and her company came to Boston to perform, and I met Bella, her husband Newell, and the company. And following that, I did some workshops with her, one at SUNY Buffalo, and I did two workshops at Idlewild in Idlewild, California. And in 1982, I moved to LA, and the only people I knew were Bella and her husband and the dancers. So, I was very, very friendly with them. And when I went from getting a master's in dance to getting a master's in film at UCLA, in the 80s, then I thought, oh, I have to make a film about her because she's so important. So that's how it came about.
Really. How difficult was it to find, her former students and members of her dance company to interview them for this film? Were they all eager to participate or were some reluctant to be included?
I'd say everybody was pretty eager to participate.
Oh, good.
And because I had such a big history with her, I knew a lot of her former students and I knew people who were in her company. So I had stayed very good friends with some people over the years. So I had a lot of contacts. And from reaching out through them, I could get other contacts as well. So Bella has a pretty big network in terms of her former students, company members, administrators who worked for her, dance programmers. And the minute you mention her name, everybody wants to participate and help out.
So that part was easy, huh? Good.
That part was easy. Yes. Getting people. Yes.
Well, quite noticeably, there was no real criticism of her. Did you find anyone with anything bad to say about her?
Well, I think that we did look at her as a three-dimensional human being. And she was in charge of her company. It was not a democracy, as she would say. It was a dictatorship. And she made the decisions. Now, when she decided to turn that grant down from the NEA, she did not consult her dancers or her board or anybody else. She turned it down. And as we do some interviews in the film, some of her dancers were quite shocked that she had done that because it meant that they were not going to receive paychecks for they didn't know how long. And eventually the company had to disband for a while because there was just no money. And when the company came back, a lot of dancers did not come back because they had to work. They had to have jobs. They had to earn a living. So I think we did look at her critically in terms of how she handled that situation and also in terms of how she worked with her dancers. It was never personal with her dancers, it was business. And she just wanted to get things done in her way. And she did whatever she had to do to make that happen.
Was there any of this that you just talked about ever that you couldn't include in the film, that you didn't have time to include?
What we did, yeah, we had big sections we couldn't include. It was really hard to do. My goal was a 98-minute film, and it turned out to be an hour 38. But we did leave out, for instance, the Olympic Arts section. She was the dance programmer for the Olympic Arts in 1984. And she's the person who brought Pina Bausch, Sankai Juko, a lot of international companies here for that. And she also really promoted Los Angeles dance as part of that festival, and every kind of Los Angeles dance. So that was a whole thing we had to leave out. And we also had to leave out Idlewild, which was a place that she taught in the summers starting in 1955, going through the 90s. And we just didn't have time to include her whole teaching in Idlewild and all of that. So those were the two big things I think we didn't include.
Oh, too bad. The writer editor Alex Bush had a tremendous job and performed magnificently along with the team of consulting editors. They did phenomenal work, cutting the fresh interviews into archival footage. As director, what was your input into the whole process of writing and editing?
I would say I was right there for everything. I mean, people had their jobs and they did their jobs, but it always came down to me. I spent a lot of time in the editing room with Alex. He was phenomenal. He had never dealt with dance before, but he had a music background. And that really, really helped. And when we brought in our consulting editors, I was always there. You know, a lot of times it was like you do notes and then they go do their work and then they come back. And the deal with Alex and I was, you know, we would discuss whatever it was that we wanted to have done, but I always had the final word.
Okay. The film spoke of an East Coast bias in dance. There was a noticeable absence of New York artists in the fresh footage, speaking about Bella's influence on modern dance. Does that bias still exist?
Oh, yes. Big time.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I had a conversation last year with a very big dance programmer in Los Angeles, and I was trying to get something done where he worked in conjunction with the film. And he said, "Oh, we can only do things that have to do with our programming." And I looked up their programming, and the Alvin Ailey Company was on their program, and Bella was Alvin's teacher. So I wrote back and said, "There's a direct connection here." And this person let me know that, oh, he thought that, you know, Bella came from Hanya Holm, who was East Coast based. He had no idea about her connection with Horton and the whole thing. So, and this is somebody who programs major dance companies on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I informed him of her history.
Hmm. Well, is there anything else you want to say, Bridget, before we start closing out?
Well, I would say that something else that Alex and I really tried to do was to make this film accessible to non-dancers, which I think we do. And also subversively, I'm trying to educate people about dance through this film, much as Bella did. So we start with very small clips and we explain what it is that people are looking at. So I'm trying to teach people how to look at dance in this film as well. The clips we use get longer and longer until by the end of the film, we show a full 5-minute dance, which is kind of unheard of. But I think at that point, people are ready for it because they then know how to look at it. So that's just something else I wanted to bring up.
Love it. Love it. And how can our readers, our viewers, find the film, find out more about you, what you're going to work on next, or talk
Well,
about
you
that?
can always go to bellasfilm.com.
Good.
or BellaLewitzky.com or BridgetMurnane.com.
Okay, perfect. What are you going to work on next?
I really don't know. I'm so
Okay.
embroiled in Bella right now. I have a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff in my office that I don't want to start until we're done.
All right.
So
So you're still on the film circuit, the film festival
we're
circuit?
just finishing our year in film festivals, and then we open at the Laemmle Royal on Friday. And then we're going to be on PBS SoCal in March. It will be the featured film for Women's History Month, March 2024.
Thanks for telling us that, because we're going to do all we can to have our readers view this wonderful film.
Thank you.
So much history. And appreciate you taking the time today with the Hollywood Times today, and our YouTube is the Hollywood Times official. So we'll be sending you a link to our review and a part
Fantastic.
of this video. And I really, again, appreciate your time with us.
And I appreciate you doing this. It will
Great.
help. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
Bridget.